Welcome back to Mean Streets, the podcast where we investigate the best, worst, and forgotten movies of film noir and more. I'm Luke Deckard.
And I'm Matthew Booth.
And we are your cinematic sleuths. Now it's time to crack another case. We have a hell of a case for you tonight. Matt, what do we got? What do we got for you?
It is one hell of a case, this. Because this time around, we're looking at 2016's Hell or High Water, starring Chris Pine, Ben Foster, and Jeff Bridges. Written by Taylor Sheridan and directed by David MacKenzie. And summary of the plot for those that don't know it or are new to the film. Toby is a divorced father who's trying to make a better life. His brother is an ex-con with a short temper and loose trigger finger. Together they plan a series of heists against the bank that's about to foreclose on their family ranch. Now, this was your suggestion, Mr. Deckard.
It was.
Because I had never heard of this. This had passed me by completely.
Yes, I remember when this came out, and I didn't see it in cinemas, but I saw it shortly after and loved it. And then was thinking, what should we do? And then I was like, oh my God, Hell or High Water. And I know what people are already thinking, right? I know this is a Western. This isn't a noir. This isn't a noir. This is a Western. Well, we'll get into that. We'll
get into that, I think.
This fits our criteria very, very nicely. And it's a film that I think deserves talking about. It was big at the time, big-ish at the time, and is one that sort of falls into that camp of like Drive and The Nice Guys and films like that where the people who know about them love them. But not everybody knows about this. And so therefore that's what we're trying to do. Shed more light on Hell or High Water. Although this is a relatively popular film, but it still kind of falls within that camp of those neo-noirs that had some buzz about them, but aren't, never like maybe reached the stratosphere. And maybe it's because they're a bit more intimate, bit more personable sort of situations. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think this is, it's almost 10 years since this was out. And the first I heard about it was, the first I knew of its existence was when you texted me and said, have you ever seen it? And I said, I don't know what you're talking about, pretty much. And when I looked into it, because I thought, when you said we should do it as an episode, I thought, well, I'll see what I think, really. See if we agree it's appropriate. And I thought, why have I never heard of this? And I don't remember any marketing at the time. I'm sure we'll get into this, but I don't remember any marketing at the time. I don't remember it being put in front of me for me to even consider going to see it or waiting for it to stream or whatever. I knew you were going to say something about it being a Western rather than a noir, and I think on the face of it, it probably is. But there are certainly bits in this that we talk about on almost every episode when we talk about noir. Yeah. There's sensibilities and plot points that are definitely noir.
Yeah. The way I see it, anyone who knows a thing or two about hard-boiled fiction should know and should understand that it's all rooted in Westerns. The hard-boiled detective is an urban cowboy. That's all he is. So you can quite easily go back and look at some of the old Western stories, whether that's Western cinema or Western fiction, and you can quite clearly see where the hard-boiled writers thought, I'm going to take these sort of sensibilities and drop them into this urban environment rather than a Western environment. That is exactly, this is that perfect blend of the sort of Western elements, but also that hard-boiled sensibility that comes with both being Western, but also urban, because this is Western and urban at the same time.
Both, it's
wonderful.
But the Western hero, it's right to say that the private eye is the sort of stranger riding into town, and sorting out the issue and riding out again, sort of who was that masked man sort of thing, like you said, the Lone Ranger, and Shane, the Western with Alan Ladd, is very much that. He comes out of nowhere, sorts everything out, and leaves again, and things like High Plains Drifter, all those sort of films, Pale Rider, they've all got that sensibility about them.
Yeah. Well, the concept's a lot. I mean, all of his stories are about him going somewhere, sorting a problem, and then leaving.
Yeah. What's the one where he sets two gangs against each other? Is that Red Harvest? It's long since
I think that's Red Harvest. Yes.
I think it's Red Harvest. Well, that's a Western and all but name, I think. So we are in noir territory here because one springs from the other. So we'll answer those criticisms before they're even raised.
Yes. Watching this film, kind of my overall thoughts. I'm a big fan of this film, but watching it this time, in light of all the films that we've also been covering for the podcast, I was seeing elements of there's elements of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. There's like heist elements of The Killers, elements of Machine Gun Kelly. Obviously there's elements of Drive in here as well, which is, kind of bit more recent, but like there was just a lot of sort of, you could see all these little influences of the classic Seven. Yeah.
Seven with the bloke about to retire. There's all sorts of little snippets.
Yeah. And I love that. And I think this, the way that I've always been so taken with the way this film just explores those very wonderful hard-boiled ideas and themes of disillusionment and desolation. Yeah. And this is just peak.
Yeah. It is
expertly done.
Yeah, and desperation. And rich versus poor. We've all the things we talk about, all the things we've talked about many times, all here in this film, and carried out, performed, written, and presented to you very skillfully and very slickly. I think. Yeah. Really good stuff. It's really good stuff.
Because it's like an hour and 30, hour and 20, hour and 30. It's a short, relatively short film.
Yeah. I think it's an hour and is it an hour and 40? And whatever it is, it's well under 2 hours, whatever it is.
Yes. Yeah. And it snaps. It is a snappy and beautiful film. My God, this film is brilliant to look at, isn't it?
Yeah, beautiful to look at. The colors, all those sort of like yellows and blues.
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant. Absolutely,
they cranked up that saturation, and I love it.
They certainly did. Yeah, they certainly did. But it's grey when it needs to be grey. It's dark when it needs to be dark, and all the bits in the casinos where most of the lighting seems to be from the fruit machines and the glitz of the casino. All that is beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Yes. And then you're out back onto the plains or whatever they are, with all these yellows and blues and browns. Beautiful photography.
This one's great. I'm excited to talk about this one.
Yeah, me too.
Let's go behind the camera and talk a little bit about how it got made. So as you said, came out in 2016. August 12th was its kind of big release in the States, and then had a UK release sometime in September or something like that. It was one of those films that had a small release and then cinemas kept being added. So it kind of speaks to your point of like not knowing about it. It wasn't ever going to be a huge release, but the response from it was so good that it just kept growing. It cost $12 million and had and its box office return was $37.9 million.
That's not bad going, I don't think.
Not bad going, considering it was a small run. Yeah, and theaters kept being added. Now, I was thinking about this, and I was like, what else came out in 2016? And I was thinking, obviously, The Nice Guys came out, but there was also one of the biggest Marvel movies of all time came out in 2016, and that was Captain America: Civil War. That earned like $1 billion at the global box office.
No, which is that one? Is that one where he fights Iron Man?
That's the one where Cap and Iron Man go head to head. Now, I looked that up because I wanted to be sure. That film its budget was $250 million. Now, I know that is inflated because they have a lot of big actors in there. I understand that. But I was thinking this film, this Hell or High Water, cost $12 million and looks stunning. And when I think about Captain America Civil War, I think about all the like muted tones, how ugly it is, the terrible like head floating CGI where Robert Downey's head and Don Cheadle's heads don't look like they're actually in their Iron Man suits.
Yeah, when they've got all the graphics around them.
Yes.
I mean that. Yeah.
You know, because there's a couple of famous shots where people made fun of it. The airport scene where literally Iron Man's helmet is off and he's wearing his suit, but like you can tell it just looks like his head is sort of floating. It doesn't look right. And I'm like, you know, 250 million, and that film,
where did it go?
Yeah, you know, well, it went all to the actors. And then I look at this and like, you know, there's no like glory shot in those films. And I know comic book fans are going to be pissed off at me for saying that, but you look at this film that was set in real locations and you know, really outside, not on some stanky backlot set in some deserted you know, airport somewhere. Like this has a real lived in, gritty, authentic vibe and cost a fraction of what this big superhero movie costs. That and that is nothing but 2.5 hours of fluff.
Yeah, it costs a fraction, I would go so far as to say, of one of the fees of one of the actors in that Marvel film.
Yeah.
You know? What are they getting? 30 odd million or something? 50 million a film? And this is a whole film for less than half that, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
And a film that has something to say and a film that has something to offer rather than just what I think Mark Kermode calls CGI being bish bash bosh or something he calls it.
Yeah. Yes.
Which, and he says they're always the least interesting part of any superhero film. And I agree with him.
Yep.
I agree with him. Seeing cities leveled with cartoon images flying across the screen. I'm not really interested because I'm not interested in the people that have gone before, you know.
Exactly.
Whereas you're totally invested in the people in this.
Yes.
You know, not a single one of them I'm not invested in here in this film. I believe in every single one of them.
Yes. So Hell or High Water was directed by David MacKenzie, a British director. He's known for films like Startup in 2013, Perfect Sense in 2011, and of course Hell or High Water. I'm not an expert on his filmography. This is the only film of his I've ever seen. So how this stacks up to his other work, I can't say with any certainty, but I can say with certainty that this is a very expertly directed film.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing and he knows what he wants to get from his cast and he gets it.
Yeah, this is not a bad film to be known for, I don't think, if you are a director that's made a handful of what I assume are independent films. But I'm not an expert on his filmography either. Startup, I recognize that, but I don't. None of the others sort of sprang to mind of me going, oh, it's him. Yeah, I know him. In fact, I know I'm more aware of his brother, who is an actor called Alistair, who's been in just a load of stuff on British TV.
Right.
So I know more about
his brother's name. I don't know. Who's the brother?
The brother's called Alistair MacKenzie, and he's in things like I don't think he's made some films as well, but you know, he's always in things like he's certainly been in Poirot, and he's in the Murdoch Mysteries, and he's in things like I think he's in Line of Duty and things like that. Wolf Hall he was in.
Right, yes.
He's always one of those sort of guest actors that turns up in quite a lot of good stuff. He was in a really good crime series called Unforgotten with Nicola Walker. And
I hated Unforgotten.
Oh, did you hate Unforgotten? I really like Unforgotten.
Hated it.
Oh well, we can't agree about everything.
No.
So yeah, he's one of those people you'd know his face if you saw it, Alistair MacKenzie.
Right.
So I'm much more familiar with him than David, whose work I didn't know until this.
But
I'd heard of Stardoll, but yeah, and what a film to know him by, really.
Yes.
If this is what I want to see more of him, if this is what he does, if this is the sort of stuff he does.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because you sort of think, oh, it's when you realize, oh, this film, this very, very, very American, very Western film has a British director, and I believe the DP was also British as well. You wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it. You would. It has that sort of that eye of it feels like, it's done by a true artist, I would say, because they're picking up stuff. And I think Taylor Sheridan actually said that one of the interesting things about having a foreign director and a foreign DP was that they're coming in, they're scouting these places, they're looking at these places, and the stuff that locals like himself are seeing might just fade into the background. But these guys are coming in and they're picking up on stuff that we might not, as locals, be aware of and be inspired by it, bring to the forefront of the of the movie. And I think that there's something to be said for that, because I know when I was doing my historical thriller, I have a foreign protagonist in a different country, right? And I thought, and that was one of my whole aims. Like, well, they're going to see the place differently. They're going to be able to comment on things differently. They're going to pull things out that maybe the locals might not entirely see. So I think there's something to be said for that, and I think they did a very good job of really bringing America, this part of America, to life in a very unique way.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the seeing things with fresh eyes approach to me. To strangers to the land, as it were, will see things differently. They'll see things that locals take for granted. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me. And they'll see potential in things that other people just walk past every day. And I think that comes out. I think that becomes part of the reason why the imagery in this film of the towns and the surrounding areas are so vivid.
Yeah. Yes.
Because they stand out a mile from they pop off the screen. Really,
everything does.
But from the very first shot, they pop off the screen. You know instantly where you are and what sort of environment you're in from the very first shot of this film. From the minute it starts in that sort of hick town, that's fallen to pieces. You know what that urban setting is straight away. Yeah, it's brilliant stuff.
When we were
cinematic storytelling, who'd have thought?
I know, right? when we were watching it, that opening scene you're talking about when the lady's going to open the bank, my wife was just like, "This is really depressing," and I was like, "Yes, it is." Yeah,
it's sort of meant to be.
It is, and my God, is it? Right, Taylor Sheridan is the screenwriter. He's known for all sorts of stuff. If you've seen Sicario, he wrote both Sicario movies. He's also very well known for the hit television show Yellowstone. Its prequels, 1883 and 1923. Mayor of Kingstown, Tulsa King, Landman. He's been churning out all sorts of stuff over on Paramount Plus. He's like the Paramount golden boy over there. Have you seen his other shows like 1883 or 23 or Yellowstone or
No, these are things that I'm not a big Western fan. I'll put that out there straight away. Westerns to me are sort of, I know what I like and I like what I know.
Sure.
But I'm not drawn to the Western in its true form very much. But I have heard nothing but good stuff about Yellowstone. And it's one of those things where I think, we were messaging the other day about it, weren't we? And I think it's one of those things that makes, having seen this, I sort of think, maybe I should get into this, and give this a go. So as soon as I put it on the watch list as soon as I'd finished watching this to get into. So I'm looking forward to starting that.
Yeah, because it was that reason that realizing that because I had forgotten that Sheridan had written Hell or High Water, and I was like, oh my god, I forgot that he wrote that, which is what sparked me to say we should watch this because this is the guy who wrote it, and it's amazing. And you know he has a decent track record. I mean, look, I am not a big fan of Tulsa King. We tried it, not for me.
Mm-hmm.
I thoroughly enjoyed 1883. That's a one season, one and done prequel to Yellowstone that was just goddamn fantastic. A perfect little 10-hour movie. It was just great. All about a family going from the East Coast to the West Coast to find a bit of land and start a life. Just in everything that implies. It was a great journey series. The first season, 1923, I love that as well. Second season, I dipped out. Sorry. Yellowstone.
Is that the one with is Harrison Ford in that one?
Harrison Ford and Helen
Mirren.
Yeah. They're genuine. They're fantastic in it. The cast overall is fantastic in 1923. It's just that the story just sort of by season 2 it's lost its momentum. It was meant to be a 2-season arc, and that's all it's meant to be, but you know, I don't know. By the time the second one started and we were still kind of lagging on with ideas from the first season, I thought we need to get moving. It's a bit slow. It's a bit too slow. So I haven't finished 1923. I think what's good about Sheridan, because I'm slagging him off at the moment. What's good about all of his work that I've seen is that he's very, very good at writing complicated characters that at one angle are clear villains, but at the other angle you sympathize for them and you kind of root for them and you understand where they're coming from. And I think, you know, Hell or High Water, he does that to great effect. And all of these other shows, and you know, he plays with that quite a bit. He's sort of always asking you what would you do in this situation, or how far would you go to, you know, X, Y, or Z. And I like his writing. It's challenging. It challenges the viewer, and I like that.
This is what's interesting. What I find interesting about this sort of stuff, you know, how would you react in these circumstances? And like you say, how far would you go to, and it could be anything, you know, to protect, to provide, or whatever, you know, to avenge, whatever. How far would you go? And no one is the villain of their own story, are they? You know? So when you talk about, you know, complex characters, that in terms of villains, that's something that a writer's got to understand if you want to make them interesting. They don't think they might know they're doing wrong, but they think they're doing it for the right reasons very often. And you know, that's this.
Yes.
You know, so I would agree just on this one off. If he does the same thing in Yellowstone and 1883, whatever, then I would agree he's got a gift for writing characters that make you think about what they've gone through, are going through, and are prepared to do.
Yeah.
And makes you say, well, what would I do in those situations?
Yeah. No, he's very gifted with that. He's a very strong. He has a good, strong voice, and a attention for that particular aspect, I think. And
he can shift your again, going from just this film alone, my sympathies, if that's the right word, shifted. You know, who I was rooting for shifted a few times in this film.
Yes.
You know, until in the end, we'll come on to it. I drew a very definite conclusion, which we'll come on to. You know, essentially a sort of Rocky 1 situation. But we'll come on to it. We'll come on to it.
Yeah, we'll get there. Let's not jump ahead just yet.
No.
Yeah. In terms of the production of this, there's not a lot of information out there about it. No. It was quick. It was like what? It was I don't know, a few months. Chris Pine was only available for 2 weeks, so he had to bust all of his scene, and he's in just about every scene. So, you know, there you go. This film was probably done in a month.
Yeah, pretty much. And they had to film it all in sequence for him, so that reactions were all right and motivations were all.
Did they? Because I heard that his first scene was the last scene with Jeff Bridges.
I read that's Jeff Bridges' first day and his last day.
Oh, sorry. There we go. I got that backwards. There we go.
Yeah,
that's right. Right.
I think they had to film it in sequence so that he could maintain the required level of energy.
Right.
Because he only had 2 weeks to do it in. I mean, that's no mean feat. That's no mean feat for anybody. That.
No.
And the performance he gives, I don't know. I don't know much about Chris Pine apart from the fact he was Captain Kirk.
Okay.
And I'm not a Star Trek fan, so I've not seen the Star Trek films where he is Captain Kirk. So as I've said before on previous episodes, I came to Chris Pine with no preconceptions.
Mm-hmm.
I came to him just saying, I know of you, but that's it. That's all I can say.
Sure.
So I'm not really seeing him do anything. So this is really my first. I've seen clips of him in Wonder Woman. I don't think I watched all of Wonder Woman. But this is my introduction to him. I mean,
well, I can say that I'm a Chris Pine fan. I think he is a very, very good actor. He is, yes, of course he was in, Star Trek and stuff like that, but he did the impossible with Star Trek. And that was, he managed to bring William Shatner's Kirk to life without it feeling like a pastiche.
Mm-hmm. That's not easy either.
No, it's not at all. But also giving it his flair, but he was very much aware of Shatner's performance because there are some actors and characters who they just are the character. Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones, and anyone else who does Indiana Jones is basically going to be pastiching Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford is Han Solo. William Shatner is Captain Kirk. So Pine did a very, very good job of trying to be a young Kirk who's a little bit more hot-headed, a little bit more, unruly, who learns throughout the film, and then by the end, he is quite eased into this almost, this what you would imagine or what you can see as Captain Kirk in the original series. So he's very good, but he's also terrific in Wonder Woman. Genuinely, he's good in both, but the second one sucks. But he's great as Wonder Woman's boyfriend. I can't remember his name now. Steve Trevor. And he's also absolutely hilarious in Dungeons and Dragons. He is fantastic in that. That's a film I thought was going to be dog shit and ended up being very charming. Genuinely a fun.
Fair enough.
A fun, charming film that's like, look, you got your kids, you want to watch some funny fantasy. Perfect. A perfect film for that, So yeah, when this came out, I was already a fan of Chris Pine, so I was not surprised. The thing that surprised me the most about Chris Pine is, aside from Star Trek, this guy doesn't have, like, he is the kind of actor who could shoulder a mega franchise. And Star Trek just, what Paramount wanted from Star Trek just wasn't realistic. They wanted Star Wars, and Star Trek has just never been Star Wars. So he's never been saddled up with a franchise that I think is suited for him. But at the same time, because also he was Jack Ryan. He played Jack Ryan in the in 2014. So but in some ways I think, hey, maybe him not being tied to mega franchises means that we've had a whole bunch of
good stuff,
fun and different Chris Pine performances across all sorts of different films, from Star Trek to Dungeons and Dragons to gritty Neo-Noir-Westerns,
Yeah, he's always struck me, because I've seen him being interviewed and stuff, but he's always struck me as, he's too old now, I think, but he'd have been a great Flash Gordon.
Sure. Yeah, I could see that.
He'd have been a brilliant Flash Gordon if you wanted to kick off a new franchise. Well, reinvigorate an old franchise, I should say.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I agree. If that means if the fact Star Trek didn't take off means he can do stuff like this, then I'm all for it. I really am.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Because I think his performance in this is brilliant. I think it's magnificent.
Yes. Now he is a darn good actor. Both of them. Pine and Ben Foster.
Ben Foster. Am I right in thinking he was in the X-Men?
He was Angel.
He's Angel. Yeah.
He was Angel. I loved him in X-Men for all of the 3 minutes that he's in that movie. Talk about perfect casting and horribly and grossly underused.
Yeah, we mentioned this in a previous episode that when the wings come out, when he stretches his wings for the first time, it's one of the most goosebump moments in a really pretty dreadful film.
Yes.
And you think, why can't I have more of this?
Yep. He doesn't even join the X-Men. He's on the poster wearing an X-Men outfit, a uniform. In the movie itself, he actually doesn't join the X-Men. They filmed a couple different scenes where one version he does join the X-Men, and then there's another version where he just doesn't. And so then at the end of the movie, he just swoops in and saves his dad from falling, and that's kind of the last we see of him. And I'm like, you brought Angel, a classic X-Man, into
one of the original
films.
X-Men.
Yeah, and you do nothing. You give him one of the coolest scenes, and then you just drop him like a rock.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Because
stupid decisions.
It is. I mean, given Ben Foster's performance in this, I mean, Angel he was so good for Angel because Angel is, he's a rich playboy, which means he's a little bit unhinged. And this guy can play unhinged in very different ways. And I'm like, I would have loved to have seen his version of Angel mature in that, in that film and just generally in that franchise, because I think he would have been such a good.
Would have been a great addition. Yeah. And it is bad service to the character because he was one of the original X-Men, Angel. Yes. So, and he just looks right for it. And like you say, he's got that sort of unhinged edge to him that he plays to the hilt in this. Hell or High Water. He plays it right up to the hilt, and again, it's great casting. It's a great performance.
Yes. So interestingly, on the just last a little bit on the production side that I could find out, which I think I mentioned already actually, but I love this fact. But this film was shot in real locations. There are zero sets. If they are inside a building, it is a real physical building, an actual real location. Everywhere they go, they're in a car, they are in a caravan, they are in these diners, they're in the hotel room. All of it is real. I think going back to what I was saying earlier about, the same year that Captain America Civil War comes out, everything that just feels manufactured, feels like a set, feels just a fake. Then you have, when you compare something like that to this, where everything is real and you're actually in places, it pulls you in so much more.
It does. It's exactly the same effect as Spielberg filming on the ocean in Jaws. For all the trouble it caused him, it just would not have had the effect it had if it was in a tank. I defy anyone to say otherwise. And it's the same effect here. It makes it all so much more engaging when you are in a real place where this could really happen and probably does happen, for the majority of the time.
Yes.
And rather than, because when you can tell it's a fake background, it pulls me out of it straight away.
Yes.
And you can always tell. I don't care how, you can always tell when a building is not really there, I think.
Yeah. No, you can.
When they're just walking down a strip and what's behind him is just not quite right, doesn't look quite right.
Yeah.
And so, I agree. It all adds to the experience of this film that it's all filmed on location, no sets, no studio. And if ever a film needed it and deserved it, I think it's this one.
Yeah. I mean, it helps immensely. I think, but when we not to harp on more about comic booky stuff, but thinking about the Star Wars franchise with Disney, most of it sucks. All of it basically sucks. But one of the few things that is visually very good is the show Andor, because they actually filmed in real locations. When they're outside somewhere in like sprawling hills, it's actually outside somewhere with real sprawling hills and real grass and real air and real movement. You're like, oh wow, this is I've not seen anything real in a Star Wars movie since the original.
50 years.
But yeah, so I think that was a really cool thing. The other thing I noticed, it was retitled. It was originally titled Comanche. Comancheria is what it was initially called.
Comancheria, yeah.
And then it was retitled to Hell or High Water. There you go. There's
I think it's a better title. I think it's a better title.
It's a much cooler title. I absolutely agree. I think it is
because it means something. You know, it means something.
Yes.
To both sides of the plot.
Yes. And on its release, a massive hit critically. Critics love this guy. Love this movie.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Well reviewed for sure. So let's chat a bit more focused on cast. We've sort of talked a bit about Chris Pine, but these two guys together are so fantastic.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that make them work well together is they're both fantastic actors, but they also had just come off the back of another film, The Finest Hours, which is a period film or something like that. Some boat movie. That's all I. It's guys on a boat in the ocean doing some stuff. I know nothing about the film other than it's a boat movie that I never saw because it looked a bit boring to me. But those two guys, they starred in it together. And I think I wonder what this film would have looked like if it was two actors who hadn't worked together previously.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about that, isn't it?
Yeah,
because
it's possible two guys could have clicked, but what if they didn't? How would that have worked?
What if they didn't? And too often they don't, do they? It's very often they don't. But one of the things that I like, it starts straight away, this film, and it hits the ground running. And one of the ways it does that is that you are straight into this relationship, into this bank robbing partnership, and you've got to believe it straight away because you've not got time to grow to be invested in it. You've got to believe it straight away because the film is off and running.
Yes,
and so it really does help that they've got a chemistry between the two of them, and I buy them completely as brothers. I buy them completely as being brought up around the same time by the same people in the same circumstances. Absolutely. I can imagine them bickering. They're so well cast, performed, and written. I can imagine these two bickering as kids.
Yes.
And I can imagine them looking out for each other as kids as well.
Yes. And
I can imagine Toby, which is Chris Pine, maybe getting like picked on a little bit, and Tanner, who was a bit more loosely wired, coming and like stoving somebody's face in for it.
Yes.
And I can imagine Toby learning it from him, because there's that great bit where he beats up the bloke in the car who's giving Tanner a bit of grief, and Toby comes and gives him an absolute kicking. And it's a very visceral, believable fight scene. Well, it's not even a fight scene because the other bloke's not got a chance to fight back.
Yes.
Using the car door and everything against his head and stuff. Great stuff. So I was invested in these two from the minute they pulled off the balaclavas.
Yeah.
In that first heist.
Yeah. Yeah. I was too. I think they work so well, and they do that wonderful thing where like they might be siblings, but and you can feel the sibling aspects of them, but they also are just two very, very different people. And
different people, yeah.
What's so fun about this is, again, kind of a testament to Pine's acting, is that you see him as Captain Kirk, or you see him in Wonder Woman or whatever, and he's normally playing very extroverted characters, very big, loud, heroic type characters. And here, that's kind of why I think it makes me think of Drive a little bit, like with Ryan Gosling. It's a much quieter performance, very more nuanced and subtle. And I like seeing it's a great sort of I don't want to say like playing against type, but it's just it's going against, he's filming Star Trek Beyond at the same time. It's very much
it's going against
of Captain Kirk.
Yeah, going against expectations, perhaps, because I had an expectation of Chris Pine, which is that he's going to be a good-looking, pretty boy actor, and whilst he may be able to do that, when it is required of him, in whatever film that might be, this subverted everything I thought about him.
Yeah,
which wasn't what I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know very much about him other than what I'd seen on interviews and clips from films. But he does the sort of Paul Newman thing for me. He belies his good luck with a lot of decent acting chops.
Yes. He's a damn good actor. He's
he's
a handsome guy, but he's also a good actor. And you instantly, there's not a role that I've seen him in that I've not, even if the film is bad, that I'm not sold on his character portrayal. He will win you over even in the shittiest of movies.
Yeah, he is a good looking fella, but he doesn't need to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just sort of an added bonus. Whereas very often it's the only selling point for some of these people.
Yes. What I love about him is he really embodies that classic noir trope of guy who's down on his luck, who's super desperate and has to do the wrong thing for the right reasons.
Yeah.
But then I also love the fact that his brother is basically just Machine Gun Kelly. It's just, you know what I mean? I'm just going to shoot them all. We're going to kill everybody. And I liked that difference because, again, like I said, they feel like they could be related, but Ben Foster's Tanner clearly is the firstborn, clearly is the rebel, clearly is the one who, is elbowing people out of his way. His brother Toby is clearly seeing this stuff and nervous about it, doesn't like it, doesn't go down that route, has never committed a crime in his life.
No.
And then now he's like, I got to do something because my family is in desperate need of money.
Yeah, this is the sympathy shift coming.
Yes, yeah. And I think this is where I think, Sheridan as a writer really soars, because this, we're watching that opening scene where like Tanner is being so violent and grabbing the woman by the back of her, pulling her around by her hair and telling her to open up they're doing a bank robbery and he's being very violent with this woman, and it's quite unsettling. But you can see, even though he's wearing a mask, you can see in Toby's eyes the kind of the horror of the situation, that like he's like, I need this to not go sour. I need this to not go any further than what is going. I don't like this situation at all.
Yeah. And it's not the only time you see that.
No,
that look of concern behind the mask either.
Yes. Yeah. And so I love that. I love that sort of back and forth that you get between them in these moments where he is just constantly reluctant in these bank heists, because Tanner's way of life is criminality. He is, that's just what he does. And it is just the complete opposite of Toby. But this situation, and that is, their mom has just died of colon cancer, and the family is in deep financial debt because of the hospital costs, and they've had to remortgage the house, and the bank is on the verge of taking it back. However, they have just found oil on their property that would make them super, super rich.
Yeah.
And Toby is in a last minute desperate attempt to secure the land for not for himself, but quite righteously for his family, for his sons and ex-wife, to give them a better future. And there's this wonderful theme of sort of, you know, poverty. And you know, Toby at one point in the film talks about, you know, my parents are poor, their parents are poor, and this sort of disease that is poverty that is almost inherited. And that is such a sad way of life for
It
so
is.
many people.
And it's superbly delivered. And it
Yes.
really does make you sit up and think. And the whole idea of talking about poverty as a disease, which on the one hand makes it something that is potentially curable.
Yes.
But on the other hand, makes it something that is completely beyond your control. You know, you either get the disease or you don't.
Yes.
You know, and his insistence that his sons won't suffer from it the way that he has.
Yeah.
Just instantly switches my emotive response from criminal to hero.
Yes. Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
exactly. He is, you know, he is doing this for righteous reasons, and I think that's one of the crucial elements of this film, and that is exploring poverty and exploring having your possession, your land, your right to live taken away from you.
Away from you by a bank.
Yeah, and I think there's a really wonderful exchange between Jeff Bridges' character Marcus and Gil Birmingham's character Alberto, where they're sitting outside watching a bank that they think the boys are going to come in and rob at some point. And you know, Gil's character Alberto makes a very poignant point, and that is, you know, 150 years ago, this land was all Comanche land, and it was all taken by European invaders. And they were stripped of their land and given scraps. And now the, you know, great grandchildren of these people are having their land stripped away. But I think he says it's not an army that's doing it this time, but it's a bank. And you know, when we look at contemporary issues to, you know, now, I mean, there's all this talk of how, immigration, it's all these immigrants, if we just got rid of all these immigrants we wouldn't have any problems. It's like, no, you fucking dumb fucks. Like, the problem are these greedy ass politicians and these greedy ass billionaires who don't pay their fucking staff a living wage. You know, like, that is, you know, someone who can spend it, you know, $1 billion and not blink, while other people are, you know, living on the streets, you know, or their employees, you know, Amazon employees can't even put food on the table or pay rent or have to work multiple jobs because that fucking jackass doesn't pay his people enough while he's sending superstars into fucking outer space. Well, you know, maybe it's not the poor immigrants who are getting paid $5 an hour. You know, maybe it's the billionaires who are hoarding shit tons of money and not paying their people well. And I think that's what, you know, because there's also a comment that Alberto's character makes as well. He's like, he talks about the local prices, the hardware store here, it costs twice as much. But if you go to the big box store, well, it's much cheaper. And it's like, there you go. All of these factors are killing communities and killing people's ability to live.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And this is what this film is about. You know, and it is about the banks. I mean, we there's enough stories in the press over the last few years and still about banks taking massive profit. You know, bankers taking massive profits.
Yeah.
And it's not just bankers, it's all sorts of conglomerates and all sorts of businesses taking massive profits, and politicians having these ideas and these laws that they bring in, where the people on the streets, who are the people who ultimately pay for it all, are left to fend for themselves. You know, and that's what this film is about. So the question that is then asked of this film asks of you is, how do you fend for yourself? You know, what do you do? And there's a brilliant irony to this film that I absolutely love, and that is that they are robbing from the bank to pay it back to the bank.
Yes.
with it. So the bank is paying their debt off with its own money.
Yes.
You know, and that's like Robin Hood magnified. You know,
it is.
And that's the sort of heroism of taking things into your own hands, taking matters into your own hands, to me.
Yeah.
And the idea then that the bank doesn't interfere with anything because it's making a shed load of cash off the land at the end because he's put it in trust is just that's like a chef's kiss of a twist to me.
Yes.
You know, and he's done it not for his own greed, he's living in a rented house downtown, he says, doesn't he? You know, not for his own greed, it's for a greater good. I mean, you talk about this is why my sympathy shifts, because you know, you think, well, these are criminals, and then when the truth comes out, you've really got to reassess that. And not so long ago, I was on a panel at a library, a crime writing panel at a library, and one of the questions that was asked was, do you ever want the murderer to get away with it? And I wish I'd seen this film then, because I would have referenced it, because I would have said, there are not a murderer, not murderer, in this case, but there are times when you want the criminal to get away, and this is one of them. And it strikes me that he is definitely going to get away with it, you know?
Yeah.
And I wish I'd known about this film when I was on that panel, because I would have highlighted it and said, go and watch it to the number of people that were there.
Yes.
But because I think it is a hero's journey, this. You know, he's doing what's necessary. He's doing what is necessary to protect his family and not himself. And I don't know what's more heroic than that.
And it's a complicated, instead of like rags to riches, it's this rags to rags.
Rags to rags.
For Toby, it's rags to rags, but for his sons, it's rags to riches. And I think that speaks to Toby's heroism.
And it does. And he has that other scene where he says, don't be like, you're going to hear a lot of stuff about me.
Oh, when he's talking to his son, you mean?
To his son, yeah. Don't be like us.
Yes.
You know, be better.
And he's like, do you want a beer? No.
Yeah.
Why not? Because you said don't be like you. Oh, wonderful. It was wonderful.
That's great. A great scene, yeah. And at the time in where it takes place in the film, I'm thinking, well, why are you like you? You know, like it's a bit rich telling him not to be like it, and then you realise what he's been planning all this time. And I think, of course, you know, it's almost a sacrifice.
Yes.
It's almost a self-sacrifice for a greater good.
Yeah.
It's just spine-tingling stuff.
It is. I mean, the tagline for this, justice isn't a crime. That's
a killer. Yeah, that's a killer.
Chef's kiss.
That's a killer.
Fucking love that shit. There's so much to like about this.
There's so much to like about this. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think kind of, you know, just from the very beginning, you really get a sense of what this world is like, and it's a very real world. This is, you know, very close to reality in many ways, even though there are elements that are maybe a bit more, you know, hyper. But this is, you know, like all noir. It's, as you say, maybe a bit of a fairy tale, but it's always steeped in you know, plausibility, and it's you know, as Chandler said, it's giving murder back to the types of people who commit it for, you know, for a reason, not just to.
This is entirely plausible. This film. There's no fairy tale about this film.
Yeah, and the opening shot where we see that very first bank, and there's graffiti on the wall. The graffiti reads 3 tours in Iraq, but no bailout for people like us. And I think that is that in and of itself just speaks volumes to what is and has been going on in the States for a very long time. And it's one of those, you know. Yeah, we obviously, there's lots of problems in the UK where we are, but obviously I'm originally from the States, and there's what 40 years worth of bad government that has just allowed the the States to become the, you know, asshole of the world that it's become now with everything that's going on. You know, and it's like, you know, we want to, you know, the government's going to bail out all of these manufacturing companies, all of these car companies, all this kind of crap. But what are they going to, how are they going to, you know, Reaganomics is bullshit. It doesn't work. Trickle-down economics is a fantasy peddled by billionaires so they can hoard money. Simple
that's what Liz trusted a few years ago. She tried that and it didn't, and it just collapsed.
Broke the economy in about a week of being prime minister, and then killed the queen, allegedly. She met the queen, and then like 2 days later, the queen was dead. I just conspiracy theory. I'm like, what did she do? What did she do? She sneezed on the queen.
Like the JFK of its time.
Yes.
But I mean, it's a serious point. You know, this thing about 3 tours in Iraq, it's about a very specific point in time as well, when they were sort of backing car manufacturers and banks and what did they call them, critical industries or something? You know, like that, to make sure that they survived everything. They had everything they needed. Yeah. But it cost the taxpayer like billions. Yeah. You know, and it's me and you and people even less well off than us. Yeah. That are footing the bill for all this rubbish, you know? Yeah. It's the Tanners and the Tobys of the world that are footing the bill for all this stuff to go on unchallenged. And it's just, you know, so I think this film is talking very much to those sort of oligarchs and politicians and saying, you know, the government shouldn't be allowed to support these conglomerates, leaving the poor or the less well off, or however you want to fend for themselves. It's just like not right, you know. Yeah, that's what the film is saying in no uncertain terms.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. I mean, this it's shocking because this, you could quite easily set this same story in the 1920s, in the 1930s.
You know, 1930s.
You know, this could easily be a you know, Bogart Bacall film.
Good. You could set it in the 1980s.
You could. You know, like it's just it speaks to these sort of eternal problems, and that's why I'm always more of a fan of the, you know, the noir and a lot of the American hard-boiled fiction versus the kind of the golden age stuff, and that's just because, you know, there's just this sensibility of there's a more sort of in your face approach to corruption that I think you get in your noir fiction more than you get in some of your, you know, your locked room mystery sort of stuff. Where
in the golden age, the majority of the golden age characters would have been middle class for a start,
or upper middle class,
upper middle class, and indeed upper class. And
Lord Peter Wimsey ain't struggling for shit.
No, that's right. Yeah, and they would have seen, they would have very much seen Jeff Bridges' character as right and Chris Pine and Ben Foster as wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, they wouldn't have seen the. You look at the Victorian London when Jack the Ripper murders were going on. You had all these rich blokes crossing the river into Whitechapel to have a bit of slap and tickle with the, you know, with the prostitutes there, the sex workers there, and sort of then washing their hands of it and going back home and, you know, pretending that they were a pillar of respectability.
Yes.
And crossing the river was sort of going into a different world, you know, and you had people living in palatial houses in Kensington, while only a short trip away across the river, there was 30 people in one room sleeping on a washing line, you know, propped up on a washing line. And that's what the Ripper murders sort of brought to the fore. It led to a social change, really. Not the Ripper murders in isolation, but it shone a light on the East End and on what Whitechapel was like. Yeah. And things did sort of change and improve, and not for long, obviously, but people at least eyes were opened, I think it's fair to say. Yeah. And that's what, you know, noir fiction was doing. That does that as well. It opens your eyes to what people do in order to survive. People do a lot of nasty things in order to survive.
Yeah.
Whereas the Golden Age is very much the land of Cluedo.
Yes. Oh my God, absolutely. And that's,
you might get real events intruded in there. You might even get real, certainly in modern practitioners of the Golden Age, you can get complex moral motives that ask questions. But the general setup is very false. It still is. It still is.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you're not going to get anything but fluff from a Richard Osman novel, let me tell you.
Not read one, so I wouldn't know.
But again, I mean, this is, I like my fiction to have a bite to it, and Hell or High Water has bite to it. It has strong social commentary, and I'm here for that. That's what I want from my crime fiction. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like fun, goofy stuff as well. But this when I get to something like this, I'm like, it's refreshing because like this is smart stuff. This is and strong commentary.
It is strong commentary, and the other thing I like about it is it's not preachy about it either.
Mm-mm.
It's not virtue signaling, it's not placard waving, and it's not beating you over the head with it with the message. It's just telling you a story.
Yeah.
It just so happens it's telling you in such a way that you can't ignore what it's saying.
Yes.
That's good. Yes. That's brilliant writing, that is.
Yes.
Brilliant writing and brilliant direction and brilliant acting.
Yes.
And it starts with that very first shot of that graffiti on the wall. Brilliant. Yes. Amazing stuff.
Yes. On the themes of this film, I think it's fair to say this both Pine's Toby and Foster's Tanner are really all of our leads, Bridges, Pine, Foster, and Birmingham, they're all sort of a version of damaged heroes. They sort of all have a bit of damage to them in some way or another. But the other thing that's very interesting about this film is its play on brothers. Obviously, you have two actual brothers, and Tanner, despite being a lunatic, his dedication he will do whatever his brother needs him to do, whether that's right or wrong. It's just that it just so happens that Toby is right in his, in his reasoning for doing what he's doing and wanting to rob banks. And I love that theme of sort of brotherly love between these guys, and that dedication there. I mean, the goodbye scene, I think, sums things up so nicely, where they have robbed their last bank and it's gone a bit awry, and Pine's going to go one way and Tanner's going to go the other. And he's like, I love you. And Tanner's like, well, I love you. I love you too. And then right afterwards, Tanner's like, all right, go fuck yourself. And he's like, go fuck yourself too. It's such a good brotherly, realistic
That's what brothers
moment.
do.
Yes.
Yeah.
That I think was actually improvised. I think Foster improvised the "go fuck yourself" bit, which I loved immensely. But you also have Marcus and Alberto, who are also brothers, in profession,
professional brothers.
Yeah, and there's a very wonderful bickering back and forth between them. Two sets of older, younger brother, struggling with each other and their choices, and getting somewhere.
And Marcus is the sort of bloke who can't say what he thinks and what he feels, so
yes,
he just keeps making sort of inappropriate remarks to his partner, who is not offended by them, other than to say, will you stop saying things like this?
Yes.
And because he knows why, because he's got, he's not the sort of bloke that shows his emotion. This, like I said before, the two brothers are very silent. They're quite internal, and so is Marcus, so is Jeff Bridges, but they say so much.
Yes,
even though they're not saying very much.
Yes,
and there's that great bit where Marcus and Alberto are in a motel room or something, and they're watching an evangelist on TV. Alberto says to him, "Look, in 3 weeks you can watch whatever you like all day."
Yeah.
Just shut up moaning.
Yes.
Brilliant bit of banter between the two of them. Great partnership.
It is. There are some very, very funny lines delivered by Jeff Bridges. And again, it's a character that is very nuanced. It's like, yes, he can't express the way he feels for his partner, Alberto, who he clearly respects and likes, but the only way to sort of express feelings towards him is in an unhealthy way.
Yeah.
And so,
racist.
Yeah, they are quite racist, a lot of his remarks. But and you're not really meant to. There's a charming quality to Jeff Bridges' character, but what he's doing ultimately isn't charming either. It's awkwardly and uncomfortably funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I think and that's and also the way that Gil Birmingham plays Alberto, being very deadpan and very exhausted with just about everything he says. You then just get that odd coupling sense between them and how they sort of operate.
My favorite exchange between them is when Jeff Bridges says, this is what they call white man's intuition. And Alberto says, sometimes a blind pig finds a truffle.
Yes.
And it's one of those, he just put it, and Bridges bursts out laughing because he knows he's put back in his place. It's a great comeback, and it's a measure of their relationship that's how they talk to each other,
Yes.
Because Bridges' character, Marcus, he's that uncle that you're frightened to bring round at Christmas in case he says something.
Yes.
He doesn't think he's offensive, but clearly is.
Yes. He is exactly that, and then it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking for both sets of brothers when you get to the end, because they've gone. Toby and Tanner have gone their separate ways, and Tanner, what he's done is essentially he's gone to thwart the police to get them off his brother's tail, because he literally drives towards them and then veers off and they chase him, which means they're no longer going to be chasing or thinking about chasing his brother, because they don't realize that his brother's even involved in any of these crimes.
No, that's right.
And I love that. And then there's this standoff scene that is very Butch Cassidy, very Machine Gun Kelly, where there's only one way out of this. And that's why that goodbye scene between Toby and Tanner is so moving, because Toby says, don't go do anything dumb or stupid or something like that, and Tanner's just like, huh. And it's like, well, I love you. I love you too. All right, go fuck yourself. And then you drive. Then they drive away and they go their separate ways. And there's this sense of Tanner knows what he is. He knows that his station in life is never going to change. He's always going to be a criminal. He's always going to be in this mire. But he's going to try to do one good thing, and that is save his brother to whatever cost, and that cost ultimately being his death. And there's the shoot off happening, and that moment and it happens, and I like the chaos of this moment at the shootout scene, where Bridges and Alberto are behind the car. Alberto's got the gun. He's trying to look for the guy, and then you don't expect it. There's no cinematic buildup. There's no looking through Tanner's scope or anything like that. You just hear gunshots, and then Alberto's head just flies back and he falls back, and he's been shot in the eye. And it's like, you're like,
really effective.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. And when the body falls, what is shown of the injury is really realistic.
It's vivid. Jesus is vivid.
It's vivid as well. Yeah. Yeah. And you can see straight away that Bridges is, for all the jibes and the digs, he's immediately devastated.
Yes, his emotions burst out there finally.
Burst out of him. Yeah, all the reserve disappears.
Yeah.
And he dives into the line of fire, really, to grab hold of him.
To pull him back, yeah.
And pull him back. And there's just, that's captivating. It was. I found that whole sequence utterly captivating.
Yes.
And
yes.
the raw emotion of it really does come out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when he gets in the other guy's truck and he's like, "Get me to the other side of the canyon," and the guy's like, "Let me do the shot," because he's like, "I'm younger and you're old and struggling." He's like, "No, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna shoot the guy." And he's huffing and he's puffing and he's holding that gun and he gets Tanner in his sights and accomplishes. He shoots and kills Tanner, and it's sad all the way around, because it's sad for Alberto, it's sad for Toby, it's sad for Marcus, and there's just this moment when he kills Tanner, when he does it, and he kind of like slaps, playfully slaps the other guy, and he kind of drifts between laughing and crying, sobbing almost, and it's just this guy who doesn't know how to show emotion, is just this ball of mixed emotions. He avenged his friend very quickly, which is good, but it's just what a circus of emotions is that 10-minute, 5-minute sequence of the movie. Jeez.
Yeah, and what a way to end his career, because he retires. He's up for retirement. This is the last job he's on, and again, this is the noir side of things coming out, because this is murder given to, like you said earlier, given to people who commit it for reasons. This isn't an elaborate plot to kill someone and stage an alibi. This is just raw emotion. And that's why this is fitting for the show, because this is what noir is about. It's people who react in a way that is believable but devastating, and because no one wins out of this situation. No. That's what I meant by the Rocky One analogy. Nobody really wins out of this. And that's the chaos that noir embraces, the chaos of the world that noir embraces.
Yes. What is justice? There's,
what is justice? Yeah.
At the end of the day, there's still a dead body. At the end of the day, there's still people who have to mourn and grieve and suffer the consequences of actions.
Yeah, and as Jeff Bridges says, it'll haunt you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, but don't worry, it'll haunt me too.
Yeah.
That final, I love that final exchange between them when Marcus goes to the farm and confronts Toby, and I just love when he's just sitting down. He's like, just how'd you do it? Just tell me how you did it. Like almost like he's not. I can do about it. Just tell me how you did it. And he's like, nope. I'll figure it out. And the exchange between these two guys, there's that very tense moment where you think, are they going to have a second shootout right here?
Yeah. And he says, do you think you can get to that gun before I blow your face off, or blow you off, clean off the porch or something? He says, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Toby says to him.
Yeah.
And you can see Jeff Bridges thinking about it. He's thinking
intensely.
Can I get my gun out quick enough?
Yes.
And there's a really good long silence of tense nerves.
Yes.
Because these are two good actors playing off each other, and it's always a joy. A joy.
Yes.
And then, of course, the tension's broken by the arrival of the ex-wife.
Thank God.
And you think, oh, no.
Yes. Yeah. This has to have probably one of the best final lines in a movie. And that is when they walk off together and, they're talking about it's going to haunt you. It's going to haunt me, that kind of stuff. And then Tanner said, or Toby says, well, I've got I'm renting a place in town. We can always finish this conversation. And then, Bridges is like, well, maybe I'll do that. And, maybe I'll give you peace. And then he's like, well, maybe I'll do the same for you.
Yeah.
And it's like, and my wife is like, are they going to kill each other? I'm like, yeah, that is what they're referring to. One of them will, on a dark day, they might meet again and one of them might die.
Yeah, that's definitely it. But my question is, do they ever make good on either of their promises?
Mm-hmm.
Do they meet? You know, does Jeff Bridges get like drunk one night and think, yeah, I'm going to go and do it?
Exactly.
Or,
yes.
Or does he think, as I did, he's done all this for his family?
Yes. And maybe, I mean, that
he's
might
got
be
nothing out of it himself. All he's got out of it is the same ghosts that I've got out of it. Maybe we're just meant to be cursed together. It's a beautiful ending because you can argue it either way for me.
Yes. Yeah, it's true. A chef's kiss of an ending. This film is
sure is.
One other scene that I want to mention that I loved was after all the shootout stuff and when Toby has gone to the bank to pay them off. The bank manager is so pissed off that he's got the money, and he's like, well, okay, yeah, we'll get to it, we'll get to it, trying to get him to leave, and he's like,
yeah,
you're gonna do it right now.
Do it now.
Send the information now. You're gonna sort it now. He's like, well, it's we normally take, you're gonna do it right now. You're gonna fax that to my lawyer. Your lawyer, huh? And then just stays there the whole time, and then
he just sits there and waits. Yeah,
I know. Great. I got nowhere to be.
Yeah.
It's one of the few moments of a sort of a sense of justice where it's like he was able to fuck the bank over, and
absolutely,
you're like, at least there was a lot that was lost, but that was a good. God, that must have felt. If that would feel so good to be like, fuck you.
I love that scene as well. There are two others that I want to very quickly mention that I loved. One is a technical one, and that is when Jeff Bridges goes back after he's retired, and he's convinced that Toby is behind it all, and and the ranger tells him, she says he's no motive, he's richer now than the land is worth more than they robbed. It's more in a month than they robbed over the whole whatever it is.
Yeah,
I'm thinking this is all like telescoping exposition to avoid us seeing any of that investigation and stuff.
Yes,
but it doesn't for 1 minute feel like it.
No,
it feels like a natural conversation, and as we all know, exposition is tough to do.
Yes,
but this is a beautiful gem of an example of how it's done brilliantly.
Yes.
The second, and it would be remiss of me not to mention this performance because I think it's one of my favorite in the whole film, and that is the T-bone waitress.
Oh my God, the T-bone waitress! What don't you want?
I think she is brilliant. What don't you want? And she says, I've been working here for 44 years and ain't nobody ever ordered nothing but T-bone steak and a baked potato.
Yes.
Except this one asshole from New York who tried to order trout. Of all things, it's trout.
But she remembers the year in 1987.
In 1987.
I love that. God. Oh my God.
So she says, so either you want the corn or the cob. Either you want the corn or the cob, or you don't want the green beans. So what don't you want? It's just absolutely. She was brilliant.
She was brilliant. Even the other waitress, Jenny Ann, who
she's good.
Who just honestly, like Toby's whole getaway relies on her, and because he gave her a $200 tip, and she says that is half my mortgage. Which, my God, your mortgage is $400 a month. Fucking hell. But that emphasizes a point. She's struggling for $400 a month of a mortgage.
Yeah, absolutely.
You shouldn't be struggling with that. And the fact that she's like, he was kind to me, he was nice to me, he gave me half my mortgage in a tip. Like, I don't care what he's done. If he's fucking over banks, fuck him. I'm fine.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole Robin Hood thing. Hood thing.
Yeah.
And again, I've said it before, but that's Toby's hero arc for me. Or maybe it's an anti-hero arc. I don't know, but it's definitely what you do sort of think, wow, it pulls the rug out from under you when you realize why he's done it. And in that exposition scene, she says, "Oh no, it's on the porch." He says, I can't figure. Jeff Bridges says, I can't figure why you robbed all those banks and you've not spent a single cent of it, or words to that effect.
Yeah.
You know, and Chris Pine doesn't give him anything. Toby doesn't give him anything about it.
Yes.
You know, and that's when he says, forget it. I don't care why. Tell me how, or whatever it was.
Yes.
I know why your brother did it. He just liked the fun of it. But why you? And he doesn't give him anything. I think it's brilliant standoff.
It is. It is.
You know, he's like saying, it doesn't matter to you why I did it. You know, shouldn't matter to you.
Yeah.
And then there's a great sense of like justice when he says to Jeff Bridges, no, it's not. It's all theirs. I don't live here.
Yes.
You know, I live in a rented house downtown. This is all theirs. And you can see Jeff Bridges sort of stunned into silence and then thinking, well, maybe I've nothing really more to say about this, you know?
Yeah.
Got a fantastic ending.
Yeah, it is. And the very last thing I want to mention is the music by Nick Cave and Warren Ellis is freaking.
I'm a massive Nick Cave fan, and this is brilliant music.
Brilliantly moody, perfect, atmospheric. Just I was listening to it today during the day with doing stuff, and I'm like, I love this kind of stuff.
And perfect use of country and western songs.
Yeah,
perfectly placed, perfectly chosen. It's a great soundtrack. It's a great soundtrack.
It is. Any other final remarks on Hell or High Water?
Is there anything you didn't like about it?
No.
No. I was going to say. I have no notes.
I have no notes.
No. I think this is a near faultless film, I have to say.
Yes. Well, I think maybe on that note, we should rate it.
Yeah. Guess what?
As I know, right? As you know or don't know, we rate all of our films out of 5 Falcons, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Matt, how many Falcons would you give Hell or High Water?
I'm giving this a 5.
Me too. 5 all around.
I'm giving this a 5. I have nothing bad to say about this film.
No, me neither. It's as close to a perfect film as you can get. Great characters. Visually stunning, wonderful music, fantastic actors, great performances. Just, it's what you want. It's what you want out of a film.
Yeah. In fact, I texted a friend of mine and asked if he'd seen it, and he said, yeah, love it. And one of his messages was, it is a near perfect film.
Yes.
I can't argue with that.
Yeah. No, this was one of those lightning in a bottle moments where just everything and everyone is pitch perfect at their job, and you know, you are thoroughly entertained, but also, you know, pushed a little bit. You're entertained, but you are asked questions about society and life and the universe, and challenges you. And I like something that challenges you.
It challenges you. I don't ask for every film to challenge me and make me ask questions about the social order of the world.
Yes.
But when a film asks me to do all that, I prefer it to be done like this, where it is just in a good story, well told as well.
Yes, not in a cotton candy Captain America versus Iron Man malarkey.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me that Bucky killed my mommy and daddy. I'm going to punch you in the face now.
Yeah, none of that.
God. All right, whatever. But there we go. Hell or High Water, 5 Falcons.
Highly recommended.
Highly recommend. Go buy it. Own it. You got to own it. It's worth owning. I own it. You need to own it. Add it to the physical media collection.
Definitely.
But well, that brings us to the end of our investigation. I think we can put this guy to bed, and we'll be back next week with another case. So in the meantime, if you can, like and subscribe and leave comments and reviews on Apple and Spotify. They go a long way to help us out. But we'll be back next week. So remember to take care walking down those mean streets.